Hi and welcome back to Wolves World for the match preview of tonight's game at Turf Moor against Burnley's 6 o'clock kickoff. Before going into this game, quickly to touch on the Chelsea game last week, what a result. That was exactly what was needed at exactly the right time. Against a big club, it can't provide anything but confidence for the players now that they're able to do that against anyone in the league, let alone Burnley tonight. So, tonight's game at Burnley. I personally feel this is a real good chance for Wolves to get back-to-back wins, which will make the next few games we've got coming up, apart from the derby with West Brom, it'll make them almost like free hit matches where, should we get the result tonight, which we hope we do, and 3 points, that's a good December, especially after losing Jimenez, and I think we could really afford the 3 points tonight to just let loose against the Spurs and United in the games later on in the month. Burnley themselves, though, are a tough opposition, as Wolves know as good as anybody. They are very hard to beat, and especially at Turf Moor, and especially for Wolverhampton Wanderers, we have a terrible record against them. And it's one game for me that I always feel I dread when it up comes, because it's a hide into nothing. You're either going to win, which is expected, or lose or draw, and you'll be disappointed. So it's never a game I look forward to. Reasons why: Burnley may be languishing down the bottom of the table at the moment, although they have picked up a little bit recently. But they play just such basic, horrible football, which really does not play into Wolves' hands at all. Wolves like to play on the counter-attack. Burnley don't really come at you. And Wolves rely on sort of the pace of their team to get around the teams. But Burnley is so solid, such rigid banks of 4 or 5, through the defence and the midfield, and it does make for a tough game, which Wolves have often come unstuck in. Formations. Nuno has 2 choices, which I think we're expecting is now going to be a continuous theme throughout the season. Personally, I think that's very exciting. It gives us something to think about other than, here's the back 5 and here's the lineup. We've now got choices, we've now got options, and I think that Nuno could easily employ the 5 or the 4 today in this game. I think Nuno will go with the 5 today, which will include Kilman, as I think Bolly has a knock to partner Cody and Saiss, Marcel and Semedo, with then, I think his tough choice maybe in the midfield, given that Dendonker's apparently carrying a knock. Neves hasn't really been on great form, although last week he improved, and Moutinho was out last week with suspension. You've then got to add in Otasowi's performance. Yes, it was his debut, and you can't expect that from every week, but he was very solid and offers something Moutinho and Neves do not. And then you've also got Vitinha, who, against a team like Burnley, he could be the man who mixes it up in the midfield to get us out of our usual kind of set routine of passing and really unlock that door if Burnley are as tight and rigid as we expect them to be. So the midfield 2, if he goes with the back 5, could be any of them. I think he will put Moutinho straight back in, and if fit, will play Dendoncker. If not fit, I do actually think he'll start with Neves and Moutinho, which shouldn't worry us too much, but at the same time, it could make the game a bit pedestrian and play into Burnley's hands. Front 3 in the 5, I would expect will be Neto and Podence, changing sides at will throughout the game, and I do think he'll go back to Silva up front, because he has not done nothing wrong. He needs the minutes, and he's now starting to rely on the goals from the people, Neto and Podence, behind him. So it's not absolutely essential that Silva scores, and I think he'd do the right thing by starting him today. However, Nuno has now created this option of the back 4 with the suspected or potential absence of Bolly. Kilman's been dropped recently and Saiss has come back in and played well. I could see him going to the 4, because one thing Burnley will not do in this game, I don't think, is attack Wolves. Burnley will sit back, and actually a back 4 could put that extra man higher up the pitch, which could help us get through the tough Burnley defence. If he opts for that, I think we will see all of our 4 attacking threats on the pitch at the same time. I think he'll go Silva highest, maybe Podence in the middle, Neto left and Traore right, meaning he just has the same choice of the midfield 2, but if he opts for this formation, I would be very surprised if he picks anything other than Neves and Moutinho if Dendoncker is out. If Dendonker's fit, I think Neves will find himself on the bench again. As stated, Burnley, a team I do not look forward to playing. They play in the same ilk as Newcastle and Brighton, who are two teams that also are never enjoyable to watch and always make me nervous as a fan for what the result will be. But I do think Wolves should feel quite positive going into this game, even though it's away from home. And I would expect Wolves to maybe score a couple of goals here, which should be enough to win the game. Having said that, should Burnley score the first goal, I think Wolves will suffer a 1-0 defeat or maybe sneak a 1-1 draw. Burnley are the last team in the league I would want to concede the first goal to. They will get that goal, and like they do against any team, not just teams like Wolves, they will just shut up shop, and they will, especially now they're fighting for their lives and low on points, they will shut up shop and they will make it very, very difficult. So the essential thing in this game for me is Wolves must score first. I do think that will happen. I do hope that will happen, and I'm not sure when it'll happen, but I think Wolves will take this game to Burnley, maybe not straight away, but after sort of 15-20 minutes, put the foot down a little bit, hopefully come away with, my prediction will be a 2-1 win for Wolves. I think Burnley will score late on to pull it back, but I think Wolves should have the better of them throughout the match. Having seen the other fixtures from this weekend, Wolves don't really have anything to fear. We've seen defeats for people above and below them. We've seen the same sort of routine as we have all season. No one's sure what's going to happen. And Wolves at the moment just need to think about themselves, keep putting the points on the board, and I think we'll be in a great position come sort of January and beyond. I do think we will pick up 6 points from our next 4 games, maybe even 7. But they could come in any order, knowing how Wolves are. A win at Chelsea does not mean a win at Burnley the next time out. Likewise, a defeat at Burnley doesn't mean we're not going to roll over Spurs or United or both. It's an exciting time to be a football fan, and actually it's a very interesting time to be a Wolves fan under Nuno. Certainly one of the more interesting times we've had in his tenure, because there's so many sort of changes and people talking about the transition, which I'm not a massive fan of that kind of word, because to me that sounds like you're sacrificing his season, and I don't think Nuno's doing that. I think he's trying to come up with options and solutions to make Wolves a better team moving forward. I am excited about the youth that we've got around the squad at the moment, not just the sort of more established players like Neto, but the Otasawis and people like that coming through as well. It is a good year to be a Wolves fan. We're certainly not in any danger of relegation, and we could definitely sneak into Europe. So games like this tonight against Burnley could help decide where in that table at the end of the year we will be. So that's all from me today. Please don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Tell your friends, share, check out my website www.wolvesworld.org, and hopefully I'll be seeing you tomorrow to celebrate and talk about Wolves' victory at Turf Moor. Thanks very much. Bye bye.